Okay, was Superman a spy? Essentially, kind of a collection of stories from the CBR, or Comic Book Resources website, that goes through a lot of the bizarre sort of background stories. And if you're familiar with the history of comics, you know some of this. Another of it seems almost kind of on the obscure side. And all in all, I thought it actually was really interesting. It has a great background. I knew a lot of the DC stuff. I knew some of the Marvel stuff. It's almost like the person who created Lie Detector also kind of created Wonder Woman and therefore the Lasso of Truth. It kind of makes sense. He was also kind of into bondage, hence Golden Age Wonder Woman. If you clasped her wrists, she lost all of her powers. So some of those bizarre sort of misnomers here and there. The most unique parts I found out is I know next to nothing about the Disney comics. I did hear because of Mythbusters, the guy who tried to patent the idea of using these ping pong balls to raise a boat, and they said no, it happened in a comic beforehand, and it did. As well as a chemical equation that was randomly thrown together by Donald Duck after a blow to the head was actually decades above what chemists were doing. And as well as the Uncle Scrooge ideas being relatively a complete and total send-off to Indiana Jones. And those things were really interesting. As well as some of the background via like Image Comics and lawsuits. The lawsuit portions were actually probably some more interesting things. Like you'll find out about how there's potential lawsuits between the people who made Doom Patrol and X-Men, because they're both groups of outcasts. And that the X-Men character Nightcrawler was originally a DC character, but they ended up not using him, and then you got transitioned over to the Marvel side. That's actually really interesting to see how certain characters could have been in different universes, but someone went, yeah, I don't like his look, we're not going to use him. And of course, how the Wolverine's origin initially was going to be an actual just giant Wolverine, a mutated Wolverine. And then they transitioned that and just made a regular mutant, and then took that idea and mutated a spider and made that Spider-Woman. That was her original backstory that's entirely changed now. And by far the most interesting piece, Nicolas Cage, who was born Nicholas Coppola, and if you don't know, he's a huge fan of Ghost Rider, hence him being in the Ghost Rider movies. He's also a huge fan of Superman. He tried to be in a Superman movie, which didn't go anywhere. That's also why he named his child Kal-El. The reason why he's called Nick Cage is because of Luke Cage. Yes, one of the first major African-American superheroes. Now, seeing as how he was a huge fan of Superman and tried to be in that movie, huge fan of Ghost Rider, ended up being in 2 of those movies. When I read that, my first thought was, wow, we could have seen Nicolas Cage as Luke Cage. Tell me that would have been mind-blowing. But all in all, if you like some of the background stories and some of the more, bizarre sorts of background histories on certain things, was Superman a spy? Actually, really quick read, and it gives you a pretty good understanding of some of the history and the background of some of the more bizarre comic